Welcome to The Line. Our opinion panelists are ready to talk about some of the biggest stories of the week. I'm joined at the table by Dee Dee Feldman. She is a former state senator. Tom Garrity with the Garrity Group PR firm. Harry Van Buren, professor at the Anderson School of Management, who will also be seen on our Public Square program next Thursday evening. And Julianne Grimm made the trip down from Santa Fe. She's editor of the Santa Fe Reporter. Thank you all for being here. Let's start with the confirmation of Hannah Skandera as the New Mexico's Secretary of Education. She's been in the role for 4 years, but was just confirmed this week. And Dee Dee, interesting little footnote here. We have 5 Democrats agreeing that she should be Secretary of Education. Were you surprised at the amount of Democrats who voted in the affirmative there?
Yes, I was. I thought that there were 2 of those that I didn't believe would vote for her.
Okay. Who were they and why didn't you think they were going to vote for her?
Benny Shendo won, and also Daniel Ivey Soto recusing himself. Right. With those 2 votes, she would not have been confirmed. And so Benny Shendo, I understand, did a speech on the floor of the Senate saying that, you know, his Pueblo and Native Americans had been exempted from testing.
Right.
And he was very grateful for that.
Interesting, isn't it? Harry, your thought on this? This is an interesting point that Senator Feldman brought up. There's always arithmetic involved, but there is the point of whether Secretary of Skandera is qualified to be Secretary of our education system.
Well, my thinking about this is that elections have consequences. I might have wished that the previous 2 elections had turned out differently, but they didn't. And a big part of where Governor Martinez ran was on education policy. So I would take the position that in the executive branch, you ought to be able to have the people in place. And so in some sense, the whole discussion of qualifications was really a red herring in terms of disagreements with policy.
That makes sense. I've heard that from other folks, Tom Garrity. Good to see you, by the way. Does that make sense to you as well? There was a lot of reasons not to vote for her the last couple times around. Yeah. It seemed to have run dry somehow.
You know, I think finally everybody said, okay, Uncle, let's just get this through. We have other things to focus on. To which I say, you know, congratulations to the Senate and the Rules Committee specifically. What was the biggest surprise for me was Senator Clemente Sanchez, who voted to send the nomination to the floor, and then once it was on the floor, said, nope, I don't agree with this whatsoever. So, you know, I thought that was a very strange twist. But, you know, Having been in a type of a situation that Secretary
I know, we're so used
Secretary
to saying that.
Skandera has been in. I'm kind of torn because, you know, I like the fact that she's not an educator. She's an administrator, plain and simple. And, you know, I think sometimes administrators do a good job administrating things like government. What I don't like, which I think backs up what Henry was saying, is that the quest to make sure that everybody is tested, the testing is really over the top. And I mean, you have to let teachers teach. And I think that was the one message that I heard on the Senate floor during that discussion.
Interesting point there, Julianne, because we've got, you know, more than a few senators and saying, look, you know, she's qualified in one way, but not in another way. We can't win that battle, but there's other battles to be fought now. We're gone to the courtroom. Folks have filed about this idea about testing. There's a lot of angst and a lot of heartburn about this. What's your sense of where this puts the now Secretary Skandera? She's got, you know, problems she has to deal with now, real problems.
I don't see this really changing her philosophies and her driving, you know, programs that she's really been pushing for all of this time. I don't see her backing down on teacher evaluations. You know, I think there are some other priorities the governor has talked about, and we'll have to wait and see if they make it through the legislature. But I think the courts have also already said, look, New Mexico Court of Appeals says she had the authority to implement this as an executive rule. It doesn't have to be legislated. You know, the nuances of these new cases that are being filed against the teacher evaluation, I don't know that the courts will really look at them differently, although we may be surprised by the courts as well.
That's right. This will be the 5th lap, I believe, in front of a court
on
this issue. Well, you know, that's okay. You know, people,
deja vu all over
again.
That's
right. But your sense of evaluation.
But sometimes if you lose in the courts, you still may win on the larger playing field. And so, you know, I think the real question that we've discussed before at this table is the nature of those tests upon which the evaluations are based. And I think it's called the value added measure formula, which has been pretty widely debunked at the national level. And so maybe there's an opportunity if you know, if I was king and Secretary of Education, of changing that in response to some of the real blowback she's getting and move forward from that.
You know, Harry, it's interesting. I'm glad the senator brought this up because I can't help it whenever I look at the wording, you know, minimally effective, you're at the
Right.
bottom, but exemplary over here. To my mind, I'm not an educator certainly, but it sounds like nonsense words to me. What is exemplary? What is highly effective? How does one parse out the word highly? You're either effective or you're not effective.
Yeah,
You see what I mean?
think the
And
number
your
of
pay grade
categories,
is based on these kind of
Right.
loose terminology.
The number of categories just seems really, really complex, both in terms of grading schools and grading teachers. In some sense, it's really, are you a good teacher or are you not a good teacher?
Right.
Now, the point that the senator brought up previously about value-added models was meant to get past the concern that some students, by virtue of socioeconomic status, were going to test significantly better, and I think there's a lot of data that backs that up. One of the concerns that I would have, and I would certainly agree with Tom, with regard to the over-testing that's occurring, but in the absence of some data from students, it's really hard to figure out whether a teacher is effective or not. Otherwise, we're just using a process model, and we're not really getting at what's going on day in and day out in the classroom.
Makes sense. But if you're going to be judged by these things, Tom, you at least expect the folks to get it right, the data right. Because if you come out with a score, this is someone's career. And stamped on your career arc is, what is it, minimally effective or whatever the thing is. And if it turns out to be a snafu,
Yeah,
you
which
know,
it
that's
has.
not, exactly.
Well, and it has turned out to be a snafu in many different circles, and that's really unfortunate because I think that as a result, we've lost some teachers who are really good and skilled at connecting with students in their place, and to slap that kind of title against a teacher, an educator. For situations they can't even control. What's the home life? What's the economic situation? Do they have access to the internet? You know, all those different things factor into whether or not a student is successful, including the role of a teacher in a school community.
But on the other hand, Julianne, we have teachers signing up for merit pay because some feel like they're forced into it. They have no choice. Some are going for it. It's an interesting thing. It's
And
just
other
moving
people
down the
are
track.
saying, I won't take the merit pay because you haven't treated my colleague fairly.
That's right.
You know, one of the things that we've heard happening in Santa Fe, I've heard this personally from educators, is that the observation portion of the evaluation is also flawed. It hasn't gotten as much attention as some of these other controversial numbers that go into the matrix, but you know, I've heard from teachers who said this person who observed me was in my classroom for 45 minutes, and you know, I had a discipline problem I had to deal with, or I had some, you know, some other thing that's sort of out of the ordinary come up, and I don't see how you can evaluate a teacher based on, you know, one day, much less 1 hour.
What is the recourse for teachers at this point, do you think? You know, we have unions, we have to argue their case, certainly, but it just seems like this is all moving down the tracks.
Well, and I
at
think
this
that
point.
the administration of the school districts, you know, we've seen some districts really come out hard against the PED. You know, Santa Fe Public Schools is one of those. I'm curious to see what will happen now that our superintendent, Joel Boyd, looks like he's headed for the Fort Worth Independent Schools at the end of the year, although that's not 100% final yet. That's kind of the way it's turning. So will the new superintendent, will the reformed Santa Fe School Board, you know, there's a new member because of an election, will they come out hard? Will they come out harder to try to, you know, protect the teachers from the PED matrix?
It's going to be very interesting to watch, isn't it? Now that she's secretary, we'll see where this thing goes. That's all the time we have for this topic. But up next, we hear from community leaders from both sides of the debate over proposed Santa Lita development south of Albuquerque.